So for this first example, I'm going to look at an activity for a Physics 101 course. And the learning outcome I'll be looking at is this one shown here. Understand the concepts of work, energy, and power and apply them to real-world scenarios. But specifically, I want to get my students to practice problems around kinetic energy in this example. So to do that, one of the activity design patterns we have is one called crowdsourced challenges. So I'll get it going and then I'll explain a bit more about it. So it's this one here, crowdsourced challenges. I'll set the topic to be kinetic energy. And here are some learning outcomes that have already been installed into the course. This one here, work energy, is the relevant one. So I'll select that and then I'll get it going. Okay, so it's thinking. The basic idea is that instead of just giving the class one problem to work on, you get the students to challenge each other with different problems that they come up with. So this has a few benefits, one of which is simply that you crowdsource some problems for the class to think about, as the name suggests. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the one that it's come up with. I'll just trust that it's a good one. And then we'll see the activity that it's come up with. Okay, so it's got this structured activity here. It's got some instructions. It's given them an example problem, but it's noted that this is just an example, that you need to come up with your own problem because that's the base for this activity. Students will come up with their own problem and challenge each other with problems. And then once they post them, they can then respond to problems and challenges that other students share. So as you look through this activity, notice that by design, the assistant has provided limited content here. It's provided some instructions and it's given a small example, but the focus is on the pattern, the structure in the learning experience. But maybe in this case, I do want to give the students in my class a bit more to go on here. I don't want to just give them one problem to do, but maybe I do want to give them one example that's a bit more involved than this small example that the activity generator has generated. And maybe I want to show them how to solve the problem in my example. So I'll go ahead and do that now with the use of one of the content generator templates, specifically the worked example template. So in edit mode, I'm going to bring in a brand new text widget. I'll put it just beneath the example that the activity generator came up with. That's where I'm going to put my new worked example. And then within the text widget, I'm going to click suggest content to see all the different content templates. And I'll use this one, worked example. So the topic, the same topic, kinetic energy. And for the optional additional notes, well, I'll actually give it a specific problem to work on that I prepared earlier. So I'm going to paste it in here. So solve a problem where a 10 kilogram object is dropped from a height of 3 meters, and you have to calculate its kinetic energy at the point where it hits the ground. So I've given that as an extra note in this case, and I'll select the same learning outcome and then get that going. Okay, so it's going to put the worked example here in amongst the greater activity underneath the small example that it came up with. So yeah, the worked example content template is one that could be handy for STEM-based subjects like Physics 101, but you can use it for non-STEM-based courses too. As the name suggests, it's basically a worked example within some topic. You tell the assistant the general topic area that you're interested in. So in this case, that was kinetic energy. And if you want, you can give it more information. I did do that here because I wanted to make sure that the problem it worked on was pitched at about the right level of difficulty and complexity for the class. So in this case, I actually gave it a specific problem to work with. You don't have to do that, but I did in this case. So what the assistant is now going to do, what it's just done, is it has come up with a work solution to that problem. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this. Again, I'll trust that it's a good one. Yeah, so it's come up with a work solution, which it's now put in here. What we'll say is that part of the fine tuning that we did for the worked example content template involved making sure that the work solution does have some pedagogical value. It doesn't just literally solve the problem. It uses the example as a means to teach students about solving the problem. So yeah, we can see here it's inserted, it's used the problem that I have given it, And then if we click this spoiler to open it, we can see that basically it's taken a step-by-step approach to going through and actually calculating the kinetic energy and actually solving the problem. So what I will say is that because I've inserted this new content in the middle of this activity design, this will involve a bit of tidying up. I'm not actually going to go ahead and do that tidying up here in the interest of time, but just note that, maybe I'd want to delete this small example that the activity generator came up with, and then maybe tweak the wording to lead into the problem statement that the worked example has provided. The main point here is that I've included a worked example as part of this greater activity design so that I can show the students one good example of how to solve a problem, giving them a bit of help with kinetic energy, giving them a template for what we might expect in solving another problem themselves.